medicine, Ayurvedic medicine, Western European. So you want to break down the world into big geocentric categories. You can also do that too. And at the root of that, it's having a relationship with what your local plants are.
Have you ever wondered, is rinsing my produce with the water that comes out of the sink that I don't even drink enough to really clean it? Well, then you're one of the smartest people I know, because you're absolutely right. It's not enough. That's why we created the only all-natural and patented line of food wash and wipes, and it's called Eat Cleaner. It's tasteless, odorless, and lab tested, and it removes up to 99.9% of the residue that water can't, including pesticides, wax, soil, and junk that can carry bacteria that can really make you sick. Plus, we formulated it to help extend the shelf life of your fresh produce too, and that'll save you money. When your berries are lasting up to 10-12 days, you know that's a good thing. It helps your produce last up to 5 times longer using a natural blend of fruit acids and antioxidants. So there's no chemicals. It's just clean eating fun. And this can help save your family an average of over $500 per year. Make it easy on yourself, reduce waste, and get that fruit and veggies into your body, where it's going to do you a lot of good and not in the trash. Check us out, eatcleaner.com, or head to our Amazon store at amazon.com/eatcleaner. And while there's no silver bullet, I do believe we can take big strides in protecting our incredible bodies from succumbing to sickness. You know, sitting here and waiting for a vaccine for COVID, I mean, folks, let me just be honest. I don't even think I want to get in line for the first round of that vaccine. Not until it's proven. Not until I've seen that it can actually work. In the meantime, let's look into the medicine cabinet, so to speak, of our kitchen, where we can begin today instead of having to wait and feel like a sitting duck. So here are my top 8 foods for boosting immunity, and they all contribute to immunity in different ways. So make sure that you take notes on this and maybe make your grocery list out of it, or check out our Eat to Thrive program, where I go into these categories in even greater detail and give you recipes that you can use in your everyday to put these into practice. Because it's great to hear a list, but until you implement, it really doesn't do much. So here we go, the top 8 immunity boosting foods. Number 1, nuts and seeds. Why? Because they're rich in lysine. And lysine is a building block of protein. It's an essential amino acid because your body cannot make it. And I talk a lot about essential amino acids in my book. It's a big part of our strategy. You need to obtain it from food. That's the amazing thing about food, is we can't live without it. Here's the thing that's scary about it. It's not just the hot flashes. It's not just the feeling like you can't control your hormones and they've got you on a leash. It's the heart palpitations. It's the fear. It's the out-of-body kind of feeling that you go through, or at least I've been going through, that make you feel like you're really out of control, and it's scary. For me, the heart palpitations through my chest were the scariest because I did lose my mom to a massive heart attack last year. And I thought maybe I was having one too. And with COVID, that confinement has just exacerbated all of those symptoms. In fact, I was speaking to my dear friend Tana Amen, who is featured in next week's podcast interview, so make sure you tune into that. She's a world-renowned holistic health guide. She is a trauma nurse. She co-owns the Amen clinics with her world-renowned husband, Dr. Daniel Amen, who they guide people into the best brain health possible. She's the author of so many books. She's the creator of the whole idea of the warrior mindset. And she told me that it is very common for trauma like this, COVID, to create a whole new set of symptoms.
But the interesting thing is, I really do believe that if you're okay, your kids are more likely to be okay. And I learned that as a nurse. So I'm a trauma nurse, right? So I really have a lot of empathy for the first responders, the people in the hospitals dealing with this right now, because it's a really stressful time. But dealing with infectious disease, this one is like, uncharted. We just don't know anything about it. But it's not new to us, right? So as a trauma nurse, I'd be working on patient. I'd have that same patient for 2 days in a row. I'd come in on the third day, patient's in isolation. And I'm like, why is that patient in isolation? They're like, you need to wear a mask, a gown, gloves. Don't go in there without everything, without having your gear on. And I'm like, why? Well, because they've got MRSA, or they've got VRSA, or they've got necrotizing fasciitis, all these flesh-eating bacterial diseases, or things that are resistant to antibiotics. And I'm like, you're kidding, because I've been touching that patient for 2 days now.
Wow.
So this isn't new to us, this idea of dealing with infectious disease and having to be careful if you're in the medical field. So I felt pretty confident with that. And I knew that if I was okay, the kids were more likely to be okay. So I sort of, even when I wasn't sure, I'd have this attitude of, I've got this. Because as a nurse, you have to do that.
Yes.
If you have the attitude of, I've got this, you're going to see total pandemonium, chaos, and families screaming their heads off, which they frequently did in our unit because people die.
They're looking to you as a healthcare professional in our homes. Our family really is looking to us as the rock, and they're responding to our emotions. So, as we have been through this now, we're in month, 8.5. And they're talking, this whole idea of the second wave of the pandemic really being related to mental health. We just had World Mental Health Awareness Day. And I feel like now more than ever, we have to be so in tune to this. How have you and Dr. Amen and the Amen clinics really responded to this also unprecedented wave of need from people who just, maybe they had never even thought they had an issue, but now they're coming to you and saying, I need help? Woman claims she no longer needs solid food. Instead, praises breatharianism. Breatharian. Is that a word even? So basically what I'm hearing is she is no longer eating food. Instead, she's living on air. What is happening in the world? I mean, these types of headlines slay me and really kind of anger me because here's the problem. People are actually going to believe that garbage. There is a never-ending gerbil wheel of off-the-wall recommendations that masquerade as health advice. And they come from people that claim that they're so credible and claim that they have all of this experience. But this? So this woman on Instagram who reportedly no longer needs to eat and just drinks and gulps air is somebody that we're supposed to trust? Well, I never studied that technique when I was studying nutrition and culinary arts, but if the thought of gulping LA air sounds appetizing, knock yourself out. But sadly, to me, it just sounds like another kind of eating disorder. And I know about eating disorders because I lived 10 years of my life in the hell of one. And let me tell you, friends, it's not a good place to be. Here's the deal. Logic dictates otherwise, but the truth is many people will hop on board because they see a thin person who's magically getting results. And everything on Instagram is real, right? The truth is food is so intrinsic to our DNA and our well-being. Hey, thank you so much for listening to this week's episode. I know you have a lot of choices out there of what to listen to, what to watch, so it means a lot to me that you're here with me. And hey, if you love this content, would you hit the subscribe button? I want you around. I don't want you to just show up for one episode and leave. I want you here, part of the conversation, a seat at this table. And while you're at it, would you share this with your friends and family? And if you take a screenshot and share it on your social media with a hashtag RFYBL for Recipes for Your Best Life, I'll make sure to personally give you a shout out, and you may just be featured right here on the show. So until next time, here's to living deliciously and being the chef of your best life.